We're here in celebration of the 100th anniversary of First Baptist Church of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we're speaking with Mr.
Larry Haslam.
Hi, Larry. When did you become a member of First Baptist Church Santa Fe?
In the fall of 1973, my family and I had moved here. Before that, I had pastored. I had, of course, been to college, been to seminary. I was on the convention staff of Kentucky Baptist Convention staff. Then for 32 years, I was on the national staff of Southern Baptist Convention. Officed in Nashville when I was a national consultant for camping, retreats, and conference centers. Then we lived in North Carolina, where I was on a staff of a large conference center, and then moved to Glorieta in '73. And we came to this church because of the program for children. My wife and I could obviously adjust to what we needed, but our daughters were starting grades 1, or they had just started grades 1 and 3. And the program for children led us to come here. Now, we enjoyed the program, the church staff, but it was our children that led us to be a member of this church.
Could you describe your position at Glorieta Baptist Conference Center?
Yes. Came there in the summer of '73 and retired at 2000, so that was a long time. It's a national conference center. I was the executive director. We had 50 to 60,000 guests a year from every state and from many foreign countries. We were able to touch the lives of many people. From May through November, we basically did almost all of the programming ourselves. The other months, not only did Baptists do their own programming and invite their own guests, but other denominations did also. In the winter, one of the biggest conferences we ever had, we started a ski Bible conference that began Thanksgiving Day and ended Easter Sunday. And people came and skied in the daytime and went to Bible study in the evening and enjoyed the Santa Fe experience.
Now, can you elaborate a little bit on that relationship between First Baptist Church and Glorieta?
Yes. Many of our staff, we had 150 at the biggest times, 150 people on full benefits. We had an excellent management staff, and many of our people were members of First Baptist Church. And because of their background and their expertise in what they were doing, they made a great contribution to the church. Also, we had people who were leaders, top leaders in the Southern Baptist Convention that would speak at our conferences and lead seminars. Many of them wanted to come early to enjoy Santa Fe or stay late after the session was over to enjoy Santa Fe, and they would attend worship here. Often they were asked to be the principal speaker in worship services. And so the people at First Baptist Church were able to experience the top leaders in the nation and some of the foreign countries, and most churches didn't have that experience. Now, the church helped Glorieta because some of the staff here were on our programs from time to time. We got some of our management staff through this church, and it was just a great experience because many people, members of First Baptist Church, attended conferences at Glorieta.
And you said that you were first a member of First Baptist Church in what year?
'73.
And so obviously this is after the move that happened. At First Baptist Church, were you involved in any organizations or groups like Sunday school, teaching, choir, missions, things of that nature?
Yes, all of the above. I was a deacon at one time, which is unusual for an ordained minister to be a deacon, but I was at this time at this church. I taught Sunday school. I did some training sessions. And I was on some mission events, not necessarily from the church, but that people knew I was a member of First Baptist Church. And I was able to not only minister in the United States, but in other countries also.
In other countries, like, can you give me an example?
Well, in Israel and Jordan, I helped redo their conference center, their camp. It had ceased to exist. And working with the Foreign Mission Board, they asked me to work with them. I spent time in Israel near Tel Aviv getting the conference center back operating. Also, I led mission retreats for missionaries in some other countries. Slovenia was one. And we were in Italy there, and some other countries such as this.
Could you tell me a little bit more about your service as interim pastor of First Baptist Church?
Yes. I supplied here periodically when the pastor needed to be gone, and I could. I was interim here twice, once in the 90s, near the middle of the 90s, and of course I was still working at the conference center. But I was responsible for the worship services on Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday night. I moderated the business session. I baptized, I buried, and I wed people. And so I visited the very sick people, but didn't have enough time to visit many other people at that time. After I retired, I was here for almost 2 years, full time as an interim, in 2001 and 2002, doing what any pastor would do. Plus, I led about 15 people that had been elected by the congregation to be on a transition team to determine what they felt God was leading this church to do right then and in the future. And so, in addition to my doing this, Ted With, an excellent minister who was a student minister in Albuquerque, preached many of the Sunday mornings during 2001 and 2002.
And Larry, we're here in the Christian Life Center of First Baptist Church. Would you tell me how this facility came to be and what the expectations for its use are?
Yeah. I was thrilled. We had not been a member of this church but a year or so when the leadership started talking about, number one, they didn't have enough space for what they were doing at that time. The kitchen was too small, the dining room was too small, the fellowship hall was too small, the other needs just for Bible study classes. So several things were needed. In addition, they wanted to expand the ministry of this congregation. They wanted a place where a gym, but we wanted an all-purpose room building. And so this was built, and it was used for fellowship hall, meals. There's a kitchen behind me as part of this. There's rooms upstairs. You can see some of the rooms and the windows upstairs, but there are other classrooms upstairs. Also, we had city leagues of churches that played basketball, volleyball, people playing tennis. I'm sure there was some soccer played, and just exercise. And there was jogging here. One of the great things was we had a weekday early education for children, preschool children. And they went outside to play in the winter, which the children need to do that. But in bad weather, they had a wonderful place to play right here. And so this facility not only helped the people in the congregation, it helped bring other people in that would never attend a worship service or a Bible study, but they enjoyed the fellowship they had and the playing here And this really changed the atmosphere and the total ministry of this congregation.
So would you say that this facility has been an important aspect of reaching out to the community and providing a space for people to use then?
Definitely, yes, it has been. And people that I know, when I was interim here, we would have some people that says, we need to use a facility and we don't have one. Could we use this facility? I probably never saw them again, but we made an impact. And some of the people that came here, whether they were playing on in a league or using the facilities, left saying, this is a great congregation. This is a wonderful ministry. And I agree to that 100%.
And what other uses have you seen in the past that the CLC has been used for?
There have been some state meetings, state meaning Baptist churches in the state of New Mexico, that needed a place for a meal because they were having some emphasis at the legislature, and they were able to use this as a place to get some training for what they were going to do at the legislature. And some other programs like this, like that, were able to use this to train to go somewhere else to do some work. And of course, we've invited people here too.
What changes have you witnessed during the time of your membership here at First Baptist Church?
Many. We've seen great growth. We've also in attendance. We've also seen some decline in attendance. We've seen great growth in spiritual maturity, where we Christians are growing their gifts to know what to do in the future. We've seen some time when this was not as great as it was at other times. We have seen that when we were able to invite people to church, invite them to know what our church is all about, and to become Christians, that was the beginning. But then there were growth times, and people have different gifts, and we needed to help them understand their gifts, give them a place to use that, help train them to use their gifts better. And so it's been a great thing there. I believe that it has made an impact in the community. Not just Santa Fe, but the state. And as I mentioned, people visiting this congregation from all over the country, and this church, many Baptist churches, almost all Baptist churches do what I'm about to say. But this church, through the cooperative program, have an opportunity to help finance ministries throughout the world. Also, there's a very special Christmas offering. We call it the Lottie Moon offering, a missionary many years ago in China, and we have named this for her. And so this, from Baptist churches, this church making a big contribution during the Christmas time, and that all the churches in the country doing that, it'll be about $160 million offering. And so you can imagine this church realizes they have a part in that. There's an Easter offering, Lottie Moon, another missionary, and that mission offering is a little smaller, but it's still way up in the millions, and that's for mission work in the United States and Canada.
In addition to what you've already mentioned, in the past 100 years, how have you seen God's purpose fulfilled in First Baptist Church?
Some of the things I've already mentioned, but I've seen it because of people. The deaf ministry has been very big in this congregation. And so people that, as far as I know, probably didn't have a deaf place to worship, or a place to worship for the deaf. And this has made a great contribution. I know we have had some people that, because of what we're doing here, have decided they wanted to come and join the church, maybe didn't know anyone here, but wanted to be a part of this congregation.
And what are your hopes for First Baptist Church for the next 100 years?
That we are doing this much work now, and God only knows how much work we'll be able to do in the future. We can't do the same things we've done in the past. Yes, there's some things we do need to continue doing, but when I came here, there were no computers here. Now we have a phone in our pockets that's more powerful than any computers that we ever dreamed about. And we know that the digital age and many other named ages, we have to meet the needs of those individuals. We can't forget those we already have, but we need to reach those people. Example, my cell phone's a normal cell phone, it's not anything special. I have a copy of the entire Bible in my cell phone in 20 different versions. I would have never thought you could do that. And so I was leading a training session in another church, and so I noticed that the college-age students that were there, none of them brought their Bible. Everybody brought their phone. And so also I was interim at a large church, and we'd have almost 400 on Sunday morning, at least 375. And it appeared to me that some of the teens and college students were texting during the sermon. Well, this hurts your ego if you think everybody should be listening. And so I asked the leader of the youth, is there something we can do about that? And he said, I'm not sure we want to. And I said, why? And he said, I know some of them are texting their friends that are not in worship, telling them what's happening. And others are texting their friends that are sitting over there and say, did he really say that? Did we really? And I realized I had to learn that no, not everybody was texting about the worship service, but it was a way of life. And I don't know what the future is, but we have to train our people to be ready, to be agile, and to be able to change and meet the needs of the people today and in the future.
Larry, thank you very much for your time.
You are quite welcome.